Hello, Who Day Nation. You're watching Who Day Network. I'm Carson.
I'm Parker, and today we're joined by Angry Steelers fan
Sam Haney.
Yep. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the AFC North. We're going to be covering the Ravens game, which already happened. Talking a little bit about the Steelers as RANTS, and let's get into it.
Yeah. So Ravens played Chiefs. I think both teams played decently well. Honestly, I mean, Ravens had plenty of chances to win that game and just didn't. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't think any team. Yeah, you have the play with Zay Flowers where he was wide open. Mm-hmm. Like nobody was in like 5 yards of him, and Lamar just missed. And then you have Isaiah Likely having big feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really the whole reason they lost. Mm-hmm. And then Isaiah Likely. Did you see what he said in the press conference afterwards?
I also said what he said to the fans.
Terrible thing to say. Did you hear about this?
Was it him talking about how it's like saying good luck to the Chiefs in the postseason because they're not going far?
Well, he said something along the lines of, "I hope the Chiefs play better the rest of the year."
This was our worst.
Because if they do, or he said if they play the way they played today, they're not making it very far. Because this was our worst game. And I'm like, who says that when you just lost to them? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's such a...
Even better, did either of you guys see what Roquan Smith said after the game?
I didn't catch that.
So, Roquan Smith in the game, normally I'm not on Patrick Mahomes' side for stuff, so I like Patrick Mahomes as player part. But he was out of bounds. Roquan Smith shoves him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's already out of bounds. So they're like backup tight end, shoves Roquan, and after the game, Roquan said something about like, "Oh, he better hope he doesn't see me next time." Like, what are you gonna do? Like, come on. And I'm like, you just shove his quarterback out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
That game was just interesting.
Yeah. So Ravens start off 0-1.
They do. Kind of expected that.
Yeah. Chiefs start off 1-0, but not in our division, so neither of us have to worry about it. 0-1 for the Chiefs. So now Bengals and Steelers looking to win their first games.
Yeah.
So
I think both are very accomplishable. I mean, the Patriots have a not very good roster.
No, I think the Bengals game is going to be a for sure win. The Steelers, I think, will be a little bit more of a fight. Which we can let you talk on that a little bit.
I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be close. I think the Steelers can do it though.
Yeah. You just have to see how.
How do you think? What do you think is going to be the deciding factor on whether the Steelers win against the Falcons or not? What do you think they're going to have to come up big in?
Secondary. That was their biggest issue last year. Apart from quarterback, but secondary was not it.
You feel like they addressed that at all, or?
I don't really know if they did or not. Hope Minka will be good this year. Yeah. That'll help a lot.
Yeah, I think they definitely. I think they had the pieces. It's a matter of just doing it. So that could have been a coaching thing too. Yeah. Coaching, you got a new coach on the offensive side of the ball.
Ooh. Don't know that I'm too happy about that.
So what are your thoughts on Arthur Smith?
Before you get in on anything, say you only have the option of Matt Canada and Arthur Smith. Who are you taking?
I'm still gonna. I'm taking Arthur Smith. I don't.
Okay.
But to be honest, he hasn't ran a play yet, so.
Okay, yeah.
For the Steelers, so.
The Falcons team was not good at all, but
he built such a solid offense with the Falcons and did absolutely nothing with it. Like having Bijan and Drake London on the same team, like and Kyle Pitts, you should be able to do something with that. And I don't know how he never did anything with that. It's probably the late game passes to your third string tight end.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Getting Tyler Algier more touches than Bijan, that probably didn't help you very much.
Yeah. So what do you think his focus? Do you think you guys are going to be more pass team this year, or you guys think you're going to be trying to run it heavy?
I hope we're more of a passing team because our running backs, with our O-line, I'm not fully confident in them.
Yeah, the O-line is not quite developed enough yet. You have Broderick, but outside of that, I mean, it's not great.
No.
So
it hasn't been for a while.
No.
So do you So Justin Fields, I think, is projected to start because what's his name?
No,
because Russell Wilson had an injury.
He did?
I think Justin Fields is supposed to start week 1.
Okay.
But who do you think out of those two is going to end up winning out the starting job, or who do you want to win out the starting job?
I want Russell Wilson to win it so he can so Justin Fields can kind of learn a few things from him, and then maybe next season give the starting job to Justin Fields.
That makes sense.
I think that's probably the smartest move.
Yeah, I agree. Because they're kind of similar players a little bit too. And they both are dual threat quarterbacks. I mean, Russell Wilson's a little older, but still. I mean, yeah, he definitely played similar to Fields. Yeah. I can see what you're saying on that. Yeah. But yeah, the Bengals game. Going in more on that. The Patriots defense really, it's gonna be okay. Just because I feel like they always have good schemes, but on that note, though, they don't have Bill Belichick anymore.
Don't.
So, are their defensive schemes? Is their defense going to continue to work?
And they traded Judon.
Judon, their best player.
I mean, you have Christian Gonzalez, who was good last year.
I think he'll be solid, but other than him,
but
I can't think of anybody
in
more secondary
that's a whole lot. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Jacoby Brissett is starting, which I was shocked by that.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know how you don't start Drake May there unless he looked bad in training camp or preseason.
I think it's maybe just to get, not throw it right on him too quick. Maybe give him a game,
but
I don't know.
Starting Jacoby Brissett, I don't know.
So T's probably not going to play
unless this is tank for Travis Hunter a year.
I don't know.
Whatever they're going for.
He's probably not going to play, though. I did see. So he said this is the best he's ever felt, but apparently he had a hamstring injury before that, so I didn't understand that.
And Jamar supposedly is going to play.
That's what I heard, so let's hope. But even if he doesn't, my thing is, I think the Bengals can still win. With it
Yoshi
being,
and Burton.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a close game. And even if Jamar's out, I think it becomes a little closer, but I think they still lead for most of the game.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a close
Because think
game,
about this. So without Jamar or T, the Bengals receivers are Yoshi-Vash, Burton, and Irwin.
Yeah.
Who are the Patriots receivers?
Jalen Polk,
Kendrick Bourne.
And
Who's the other guy? Demario Douglas?
I think.
So whose receivers are better out of those three?
I'll still probably take
exactly. Still the Bengals.
I like Jalen Polk.
And Demario Douglas played decent last year too. But it's you're still taking the Bengals receivers. What quarterback are you taking? Jacoby Brissett? No, you're not. You're taking Joe Burrow. The O-line, the Patriots O-line is abysmal.
Yeah,
the
it is.
Bengals O-line was not good. Last year they were okay. And this year I think they're going to be a lot better. So the O-line's going to be better. Their running backs, I mean, you've got Ramondre Stevenson, and then who's their backup? Antonio Gibson? Yeah, Antonio Gibson's their backup. So the Bengals, you got Zach Moss and Chase Brown. I think the Bengals win that too. I mean, that's the only possibility of them having better running back than us. But overall, their offense, the Bengals' offense is so much better. And I think their game plan, their coaching, kind of be way better than the Patriots' offensive.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bengals show up to play, which I would think week 1 you would, but they notoriously don't. Mm-hmm. But if they do show up to play, it shouldn't be that close to the game. But you never know with week 1. I mean, the last few week 1s, last year they lost week 1 to.
Oh shoot, I don't remember. They lost week 1.
Oh, the Browns, they got destroyed.
Was it the Browns?
Yes, because
I knew they played them early. I know it was week 1.
No, yeah, it was 30-7, and then the year before that was the Steelers, and that was when Burrow threw 4 interceptions, and they lost on blocked PAT. That is.
So overall, I mean, if we're thinking 1-1, 1 win for the Steelers, 1 win for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Ravens lost. What do we think about the Browns?
Who do they have?
It's a good question. I've never looked at who the Browns are playing this week.
Do you know?
No. I haven't paid any attention to who the Browns are playing. I've just been all Bengals. So I mean, if those teams start at the top of the division, the Browns.
They have Cowboys.
Okay, so they play the Cowboys week 1.
Yeah, that's right, because they were talking about it at school. They were.
Oh, yeah.
So is that going to be, we think, probably a win for the Bengals, win for the Steelers, a loss for the Browns, a loss for the Ravens then?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think the Cowboys are going to be solid this year. I mean, they are, regular season-wise, the Cowboys are a very good team. But it just the game plan tends to fall apart for them, and that's what gets them.
Yeah.
In the postseason. But I have never doubted the Cowboys in the regular season. I won't doubt the Cowboys in the regular season. So I think if we're talking AFC North, the Ravens have already lost. I think Bengals and Steelers come out with a win. I think Browns come out with a loss.
And what I think might happen, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because of how the Bengals are early in the season. They have the Chiefs week 2.
Yeah.
Could be a loss. I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers come out hot and they're leading the division for the first 4 games.
They could.
And then the Ravens, Browns, and Bengals are all right behind them until the Steelers stop doing that and then fall down, and then they get jumped by the Bengals.
The
and Ravens.
Steelers tend to either start the year really good and then die in the second half, or start the year really bad, and
just
then come
start
back.
cooking. Yeah,
that's how Tomlin always gets his 9-8 or 10-7. Is he either starts the year 6-1 and then just struggles the rest of the year, or he starts the year 1-5 and then just somehow makes it every year.
So the first I think the Steelers have a bye week. Is it week 9 maybe? I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this schedule real quick because it's the first games of the season are so easy for the Steelers, I think.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they're gonna struggle with that. So we have, I don't know why it's
schedule right there, full schedule.
There we go. Okay. Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, and Giants.
Wow. That's you guys got a couple good teams in there.
How many games is that?
But then you get to the second half of the season after our bye week. And after we play the Commanders week 10, we've got Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, and then Chiefs. And the last game of the season is the Bengals.
Gosh, dang, you could lose 7.
So
Yeah,
that's
how many games you guys have
is
before your bye week? 8?
Yeah.
I easily could see you guys going based off this.
6-2.
Losing to
I was gonna say losing
Jets
to Cowboys and
Jets.
Jets. I think you can start the year 6-2
for sure.
and then
I would not be surprised if that happened.
I actually see 7-2.
Yeah,
because you got the
yeah,
Commanders
yeah.
after.
But then
That's what I'm saying. Then they start falling off.
oh, that is rough.
But
Now
see,
the divisional
8 straight.
The divisional games.
Playing
I think
4 straight divisional games is
the Ravens
such a bad schedule pull. That's
the
awful.
Ravens don't play good against the Steelers, or they haven't the last 3
Yeah,
or
the
4
Bengals.
years.
Yeah.
The Browns can, but I think we win 3 of these division games. I think we beat the Ravens because it's at home.
Okay.
I think we beat the Browns and Bengals once.
Okay, you beat the Browns at home, and then you beat the Bengals in Cincy. I think you probably lose to the Browns in Cleveland.
Yeah.
You guys not play us at home?
But then last game of the season.
Yeah.
So
Which
They
the
might
Steelers,
versus at home. See,
the Steelers can usually
the
take
Steelers
the Bengals
freaking
or at
home
Cincy.
games. I feel like there's got to be a stat with the Steelers. Their home games, they win so much more than their away. They got to be one of those teams that their home game win percentage has to be so much higher.
Maybe.
Because they literally are so freaking loud, and then those stupid towels are always swinging around. It's like, that has to be so annoying to play at the freaking Steelers Stadium. Like, that, and then see, that's the thing. The Bengals can beat the Steelers. The problem is their offense against the Steelers. Because the Steelers, for whatever reason, TJ Watt primarily always has some takeover game against the Bengals. And Burrow gets sacked 3 times.
It's 3 sacks and 4 batted passes.
And he always has constant pressure on Burrow too.
Yeah,
so Burrow just doesn't throw good
They're not
passes.
double team him ever.
And he usually has a few interceptions when he plays the Steelers
Yeah.
too.
TJ Watt is probably the best defensive player in the league.
So, on that note, before we get to anything, what do you think about TJ Watt not being named Defensive Player of the Year last year and it being Myles Garrett?
Ridiculous. There is no reason that he shouldn't have been, and I'm still mad about that. There is no reason that Myles Garrett should have been Defensive Player of the Year, and it's ridiculous.
So there's people that say, oh yeah, well TJ had more sacks, but Myles Garrett makes more of an impact.
But Myles Garrett had no stats that were better than him.
That's true. I'm pretty sure TJ did beat him in every category.
I've been with.
Oh, I am too. I think TJ actually beat him in every statistical category. I think I saw a post and it was like batted passes, pressures, sacks.
No, it was everything.
And see, the thing is I feel like TJ Watt plays more over the field than what Myles Garrett does. Myles Garrett's really just rushing the passer pretty much every possession. TJ Watt, he'll be playing linebacker sometimes.
Very rarely.
But he does. They'll move him around a little bit.
And he gets interceptions sometimes too.
Yeah,
he usually
he'll bat
gets
down a
few
lot of
every
passes.
season.
No, yeah. So I don't know how Garrett won that, but
Me neither.
back to what I was saying, like TJ Watt is incredible the whole year, but for some reason, just against the Bengals, he is like
He just
crazy.
takes a while.
He'll have like 18 sacks on the year, and like 5 of those will be against the Bengals in 2 games. And
No, he literally had like
Why?
3 sacks last year against the Bengals.
No, yeah, I'm sure.
And it was
like,
so stupid. I'm like, what is this guy on? Like, they had to drug test him after that game or something.
Oh, it's terrible. I think the Bengals were 1-5 in the division last year and had like a crazy record against the rest of the league. I mean, Bengals went 9-8 last year. They were 1-5 in the division, so they were 8-3. Not in the division? That is wild.
Did the Steelers? I don't remember how many. Did they lose to the Browns once last year in the division? I don't remember on that.
I don't remember. I think the only division team that the Bengals beat last year was the Browns in the last week of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Steelers swept the Bengals,
Oh, yep.
swept the Ravens. Did they sweep the Browns too? Or did they lose one? I can't remember. I don't remember.
Because the Browns did. I don't think they won a ton of divisional games. I think they were just winning a lot of non-divisional games. That's why they made the playoffs. Because the Browns the Ravens would have made the playoffs. The Browns and Ravens were only 2 teams that made the playoffs in the AFC North, right?
The Steelers not? Steelers had a
I
winning
don't think
record.
the Steelers won't make the playoffs.
No, they didn't.
Because they missed
yeah,
it.
no.
Because we both had good enough records.
Both 9-8.
Yeah, but because there was teams from what's the division with the Saints and
South.
South. They did not have a team with a winning record, and they made the play. Whoever made the playoffs.
There's one
Yeah,
team
you
from
have
every
to.
division.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I know that. But
Yeah.
I'm saying,
But-
if we're talking from a record standpoint,
Yeah.
we should have. It's just the fact that they're a different division.
Yeah,
So
I mean, every team in the AFC North had a better record than every team in the NFC South.
Yeah.
And that's while counting in the fact that 6 of those games for each team is playing another AFC North team, and 6 of those games for the NFC South teams are playing another NFC South
yeah,
team.
this year
So
even
that's-
I think if we're talking obviously it's not that way, but if we're talking every team made the playoffs based on their actual record, I think every single team in the AFC North can do that this year because I think they're all going to have winning records.
No, I think if you took the Kenny Pickett Steelers or the Jake Browning Bengals and you threw them into another division, they would have easily made the playoffs and fought for first in that division.
I mean, most
It's just-
divisions, I think, that's
I mean, you played
definitely the case.
with the Ravens, who were crazy in the regular season last year, and then
The Browns and the Steelers, whose defenses
Flacco
were
had
just...
a wild year, and
Yeah.
Browns' defense is incredible. So
Yeah, I think you put any of those teams in any other division,
they
are
fight.
in
They're
for
leading them.
Yeah, and they're an
Yeah.
easy playoff.
Yeah.
They're easily
I mean, that was wasn't it the first time? I don't know if it was the first time ever, but it was the first time in like 50-something years that a division has had all winning records.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's...
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I
was
think
some crazy
it's
stat.
kind of like a
Yeah.
clear cut.
And
I
they
don't
could
think
do that
anybody's
again
close.
this year, and they've been close to doing that in previous years. Like it always seems like all 4 teams are fighting for the playoffs, and one team ends like 8-9.
And that's usually because their entire team just gets injured when they play other.
That's
true.
That
division
happens all the
teams.
time.
I mean, the AFC North.
That's usually what
Has to
wrecks those teams.
Yeah.
Is just.
I mean, if you're
injuries.
talking about like the last 10-year stretch for the AFC North, I mean that's got to be the greatest division ever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was a lot of teams. I mean,
We
yeah,
got the Bengals in there. Remember that.
they were bad, and the Browns had some bad years, but like consistently, I mean,
we say last 5 consistently. It's been crazy.
well, yeah, last 5, but even last 10 has been.
Yeah, because the Bengals made a few good playoff attempts and runs in that little time period.
Yeah.
But it was for 4 or 5 of those years, it was really just the Steelers and Ravens battling it out every year. But these last 5 years, it's
been everybody.
Yeah, it's
It
been the
could-
Bengals and
it's-
Browns
it's-
stepping up in every team.
it's looked like the division could go to any of those teams
Yeah.
at any point.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
and the thing is too, is it's like the AFC North. It's like I feel like all those teams went through their defenses. Like I think those
The 4 defenses.
4 defenses
that
because
are
the
in
Bengals
AFC
have
North are
In my opinion, the Bengals, even this year, well, we'll see how this year goes. Last year, year before, had the worst defense in the AFC North.
Yeah, and they
And
had
I think
a good defense.
their defense still, I mean, I don't know, we're still ranked top, maybe 15.
Yeah.
I would say, as a whole, maybe 20. I mean, they were good. They were on the, I think they were closer to the top half, though, in defenses. Yeah. And then those three, and the other defenses are all, it might be top 5 defenses.
They could be.
I mean, the Browns crazy.
The Browns might have the best.
Browns,
outside of the 49ers, the Browns might have the best defense in the NFL. And I might take them over the 49ers.
The Jets and the 49ers are the only 2 teams. Cowboys kind of, but the Cowboys are just so inconsistent on their defense.
It is.
We're talking about consistent defenses. I think you've got the 49ers and the Jets up there. And other than that, I think it's Ravens, Steelers, and Browns.
You very well could.
Who are up there. So I think top 5 defense.
Yeah. I think the Bengals are the only team in the division that's outside maybe the Ravens, but is the only team that's built offensive heavy.
Yeah,
like
sure. Ravens. I mean,
they've done a lot to the defense, but
against the Chiefs, I'm thinking like this first game from what I saw, the Ravens played like they were in that game because of their defense. Mm-hmm. Lamar was making plays, but Lamar was not able to throw the ball. I mean, everybody on their offense was locked down. I mean, he was running the ball. He ran for 120 yards or something.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but their defense, I mean, yeah, they got scored on a lot, but I mean, it's the Chiefs. I mean, they held up and they kept them in the game. Because their offense was just, I mean, Lamar just, him and their defense is what I should say, is what kept them in the game. Yeah. It was just Lamar running and randomly making plays, or their defense, like Roquan Smith having an interception, or them batting down passes and stuff. So AFC North. I mean, their defense is legit. It's going to be legit this year.
Yeah, that's one thing that I like about the Steelers is their defense is just so strong, and their games are never super high scoring because their defense can always keep even good offenses, really good offenses, from getting 30 points, and their offense, the Steelers' offense can usually kind of keep up with them. Yeah. Even if they end up losing that game, it's still usually close. Mm-hmm. And they do have some bad games where it's completely lopsided, but
yeah, it's not a lot of blowouts. It doesn't seem like from really most teams in the AFC North. They don't really let up many blowouts.
Very rarely.
They normally lose pretty close. I mean, the Bengals are the only team that I think ever really lets up blowouts because their defense can fall apart. Yeah. I think the other 3,
but they can also have blowouts.
They can cause blowouts too with their offense.
The Bengals are the most. I think
they're the most inconsistent.
They're the least consistent, but they're the most explosive team.
Yes, I agree.
Like I feel like the Steelers, no matter who they play, will always be within 14 points of their opponent.
They aren't a super big play offense.
No,
they don't have big plays.
My thing is,
I know one big play a game.
Maybe. This is my thing. So I know you were mentioning you want them to be more pass heavy. Yeah. But I could see the Steelers being more run heavy and just using, because they have two decent running backs. Their O-line isn't very good. Yeah, so it depends on how their O-line is. Mm-hmm. But I could see the Steelers either being a more run heavy team, especially because Arthur Smith likes to run the ball, or just doing short passes.
I can see
because
that's what
they've
been doing.
They like to grind teams down, play good defense. They're not explosive at all.
If Arthur Smith can get his stuff together, I think there will be a lot of option runs. There will be a lot of RPOs.
Because they have 2 quarterbacks that can
I think it will be a more run heavy team, but I don't really know that I want it to be.
Because you want them to be more explosive.
And I don't think that either of those running backs that we have are super high caliber. They're both good and they're somewhat consistent. Mm-hmm. They're just not, I don't know. I just don't feel like they're. I don't think that's how our team should. You don't think that's who
they should lean on, really?
Yeah, I don't think our team should rely on those 2 running backs.
If you had a good offensive line, I would say, let's lean on
100%. But that's just the
we don't have good enough of an offensive line to do that, or at least not yet. Maybe next year, or maybe later this year, I could see it end up working out. But
at this point, I'm telling you, I would, with the quarterbacks that you have, and I mean, you could be subbing them on and off nonstop. Yeah. I would, a lot of options, a lot of RPOs, a lot of screen passes. I think that's what it's going to be. You get the ball out quick, you make them, Najee is going to be much more effective if the threat of Russell Wilson or Justin
Yes.
Fields running is also there.
Yeah, and he's also a lot more effective when you get in, red zone area.
Yeah.
You get closer
Because-
to the goal line.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a lot more effective.
Najee's
he's
not
not
a guy-
super fast,
Yeah.
but he's got a lot of power behind
Yeah,
him.
He's
he
not
does.
a guy that's going to make people miss, but he's a guy that can run through people and get an extra yard or two.
Mhm.
So it's like, that's why it's like, yeah, if you have that threat there and it's like, oh, shoot, he's taking the ball. He catches him off guard by that, so he already gets his yards. Then when he comes into contact, he can create a couple extra.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And having those two together, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris,
Jalen Warren
is
can make
really
explosive plays.
yeah. It's really good to have those two together because they're really consistent and they both put up similar numbers last year, just in different uses and areas.
So basically, yeah. So what you're saying, you want them to utilize the running backs, but like make.
I don't think they should
But not
build their
build-
offense.
They shouldn't build
they
their
shouldn't
offense
build
on
their
that.
offense on.
Yeah.
They should build their offense on what, like quarterback? Their quarterback.
They need to
you're saying?
develop their quarterbacks and get them
Yeah.
to, know the team a little better and work together with everybody. But
Yeah.
I think George Pickens could be
I
really
was just gonna
good.
say, I think the
We just need to
X
use him
factor,
more.
the X factor on the entire Steelers team is gonna be George Pickens. If Pickens has a bad year, the Steelers are gonna have a bad year.
Mhm.
If Pickens has a good year,
Masons.
sorry, I don't know. But if Pickens has a bad
See,
year, the Steelers are gonna have a bad year.
Pickens though is one of those players, so they just now have to know how to use him because
Yeah.
George Pickens, I'll be honest with you, is not a great route runner at all.
No,
He's
but
catches-
good down
he's
fast.
catches everything.
His catch radius
Yes.
is crazy.
So they use him as like a deep threat where
And
they're-
last year he made so many huge plays.
yes, where they're catching
40
people off
plus
guard,
yard
like maybe
catches.
an option play where he wraps around and he's running a deep route, but they're making it look like they're running it or something. They pop back and he's
Yeah.
gone.
You know, I
Just
mean-
chuck it down the field.
Justin Fields, as much of a problem as he has had with reading defenses and his accuracy, there has never, ever in his career been a question, and Russell Wilson, I will say, with his ability to throw the football.
Yeah, they
I mean,
both can throw
In
deep.
college, he was throwing the ball forever. I mean, like if he has enough time and he can get out of the pocket, if he has enough time for Pickens to get open downfield,
Yeah.
he can make those throws. And I think Russell Wilson can too. Russell Wilson has great arm strength. So I think it's just going to be, but if Pickens doesn't show up this year, you don't really have
Because
many
they
other,
don't have any
many other
receiver
ones.
threats.
Roman
No.
Wilson is, he's solid, but he's
We
more
haven't
of a
seen him
slot
we haven't seen
guy.
him in the NFL.
And and I think if Pickens has a bad year and they don't have anybody to throw to, if they do fall back to relying on the running game, it's not going to be great.
I think they need to have
Yeah.
a running game, use it, but use it as a threat, but not the only
Yeah.
threat.
You're-
They need George Pickens in their deep passing.
Yeah, your
as a threat to
defense can
screen
only
passes.
be so good.
Yeah.
If your offense is not producing, the team is not producing. Your defense can only be so good.
Yeah,
So-
I think he can be a big part of this team. We just have to utilize
Yeah.
him.
And I honestly think, I don't mean to cut you off, but I honestly think the Bengals are the complete opposite way. Like, it's like the Steelers, you can always rely on the defense to hold a team to however many points. The Bengals, you can always rely on to get a certain amount of points. It's the defense that, like, it's like the offense can only be so good. The
See,
defense
and
needs
that's
to
the
show
thing.
up.
Yeah, if your defense has a bad day, your team is probably not winning that game.
Unless
it
it's
doesn't
just
really
a
matter
shootout and
who
we can
you're
score more
playing.
points.
Yeah, it just
So
becomes
it's
a
like,
shootout.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's when you said the Bengals are the most explosive team. They literally are. I think the Ravens are a little more like the Bengals in that aspect, but at least when you look at the Browns and the Steelers, it's more of like lower yard plays, run the
Yeah.
ball, grind the team down, and play good defense.
Yeah.
The Bengals, big plays.
Yeah.
Same with defense. Big plays. They
Yeah.
they got a decent amount of interceptions last year. It was just
They did.
yeah. Not
And,
very
and, it's not,
consistent.
and quite a few sacks. I mean, a lot, mainly from Hendrickson.
Yeah.
But
They
the
can make
Bengals
big
are a
plays, they're
big
just
play
not
team.
consistent.
I think the Bengals and Ravens are big play teams.
Yep.
The Steelers and Browns are wear you
Consistent.
down.
Yeah,
Very
the
now.
Steelers offense is
And
gonna
that's
wear your
what-
team out.
Yeah.
That's what makes
And you should buy-
divisional games so entertaining.
Yeah.
Is that you have that contrast. I mean, that's why. I mean, Bengals Steelers is always so much fun because you never know which way the game is going to lean. You never know whether it's going to be a shootout or whether each team's going to score. I mean, under 20 points. You never really know because it's just who shows up that day.
Well, and that's what makes watching like a Browns and Steelers game so interesting is that both of those teams have pretty similar playing styles. I feel like
Yeah,
they're
they
very defense heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and their offense just kind of wears you down.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to see what happens in those games because usually it's off the offense making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those games are usually won by the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's turnovers and huge numbers of sacks and stuff like that, and it's just interesting to watch those games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, teams that go against each other like that, yeah, they're fun to watch. Teams that play the same style can also be fun to watch. Bengals, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs is always. I mean, that's probably right now, unexpectedly, it's probably the biggest rivalry in football.
Oh, I agree. I
would
like
say.
when I'm thinking about the team I hate the most in the
Yeah.
NFL. It used to be the Steelers.
Yeah,
It's not anymore.
No.
It's the Chiefs.
yeah,
It's not
like,
the Steelers anymore.
It's like, yeah, you have division rivals that have
No.
hated each other forever.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you have Steelers, Ravens, and you have Cowboys, Eagles, and you'll always have that. But right now, Bengals, Chiefs is.
Oh yeah, they're the biggest
Well,
threat. The only thing I will say before you talk real quick, I would just throw in. Now, I rooted for the Chiefs against the Ravens. If they're playing a divisional rival, I'm gonna root for the Chiefs
I do
because
not. No.
well, it's
I was-
divisional rivals. It's like it's more likely for us to make the playoffs. So you want them to
Okay.
beat. Yeah.
I thought, okay, when you said Ravens, Chiefs, for some reason, I went AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Because
No, I'm
AFC
talking-
Championship,
yeah.
I rooted Ravens.
Oh yeah, for sure. If the Bengals are out of it, yes, I'm rooting.
Okay.
So it's like I
I
want
get what you're saying.
I want
Yes,
to
I
root
agree.
for the other teams over the Chiefs, but I'm rooting for the Chiefs for that.
And for me, when I first started watching football, it was Patriots. They won everything. They were
That,
always
yeah.
at the top. There was never a question if they were or weren't going to make the playoffs. They were always in Super Bowl contention every year.
Yeah.
And then once that ended, it then became the Chiefs, and I hated them. Like the Patriots,
Yeah.
I don't like. They don't mean anything to me anymore. I don't
Yeah.
hate them. They
Yeah, it's
exist.
And I mean,
And now it's the Chiefs. I can't stand them.
yeah, and both teams play a very similar style. Like Bengals and Chiefs, they both play a very similar style. Defense is good, and your defense has X factors on it, like your Chris Jones and your Trey Hendrickson, and the rest of the defense is solid. But that game is almost never won by defense.
No,
that game
it's-
is won by offense.
It's offensive.
And it is
shootout most of the
who
time.
comes out. There is always some
Quarterback
player.
play.
Yes, and there is always some player on offense for both teams that comes out with a crazy stat line because they know somebody has to show up for you to win that game. I mean, I think people like to say Burrow is 3-1 against the Chiefs, which yes, he is. The game that he didn't win, Mahomes had a game.
See, and that's the thing. It's like so. I think those games, the Chiefs and the Bengals, those games are won off of quarterback plays. Whoever's quarterback plays better because you know it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to sit here and say I think Burrow's better than Mahomes, but when you think about it, Burrow's 3-1 against Mahomes. If those games are decided off quarterback play, that means in 3 of the 4 games, Burrow's played better than Mahomes has.
Yeah.
So it's
but
like
also,
I think Burrow against Mahomes. I think if you take those two playing against each other, I'm taking Burrow just as an overall player. It's hard to put Burrow over Mahomes
you can't.
until he wins at least the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like
you can't right now. And also,
yeah,
I think 2021 regular season, it was like week 17, Bengals beat Chiefs. That game was won almost exclusively. I mean, Burrow did a lot, but you take Jamar Chase out of the game and it wouldn't have been close.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, I think, had more receiving yards that game than Patrick Mahomes had passing yards.
I remember.
I think he
huge.
went.
He
He
had
went for
2
260 and 3 touchdowns.
Was it 260?
I thought it was
I thought it was like 240, but
240, 250.
it was 2 something. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, because he had
Yeah.
he had 2 huge plays, and I know
Yeah.
he had a touchdown later in the game. I mean, it was a crazy stat line.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm just saying, somebody always has to show.
Somebody's got to
up.
show up in those games. They're big games, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, do you have anything to say on that? Or do you?
Back to what you were saying earlier about Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to be like this year?
I think he should be. Well, it honestly depends. The Bengals' defensive line has been getting torn apart by injuries.
Chris Jenkins,
Chris Jenkins is out now. Also,
Kenley Jackson's
they're
still out.
they have 2 defensive tackles that are going to be out. Their defensive end 3 and 4, who sub in a ton, are out right now. Because I was thinking Miles Murphy, they drafted out of Clemson first round last year. I was thinking if he could start getting a bunch of reps, he could start getting pressures. That's only going to help Trey Hendrickson because it's so hard. I mean, that's what helps. That's why TJ Watt has seen an increase of production over the years. Because I mean, they've always had Cam Hayward, but Alex Highsmith has came in. He's been great.
That really helps, and that also really helps in just the strength of that defense because he's a big threat too. If you don't have Watt doing something on the line, getting through there to the quarterback, you'll have Highsmith there.
If you only have one guy on the defensive line, it doesn't matter how good he is. It's going to make it so much tougher for him because, like, I mean, the Cowboys. Micah Parsons could be. I'm not saying he is or not. Could be the best edge rusher in the entire NFL.
Yeah, doesn't have a lot around.
But they don't have many D tackles. They don't have another defensive end. So he's getting two guys. And
they do. I mean, they have another good defensive end now.
Who?
They've got what's his name? Freaking DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, he's aging.
He's still solid.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
on each side. But depth-wise, I don't know how much depth they have. Their D tackles aren't always great. But one thing I will say overall on defense, I do think the Steelers linebackers are going to see a boost with getting Patrick Queen. And I think Peyton Wilson might be pretty good.
Oh my gosh,
they drafted linebacker.
Loved Peyton Wilson.
He's pretty darn fast.
Gosh.
I don't know. I think he could make a contribution.
No, yeah,
I think the Steelers' defense this year, if they can all work together, could and probably will take the Browns' spot for best defense in
It's a possibility.
the North.
It's just the Browns.
They just need to work together and not you can't have injuries. They gotta all stay together because
the Browns' defense is like they don't have necessarily like I mean they have Myles Garrett obviously, but they don't have like one guy here and one guy here. But it's
so
top
consistent.
to bottom. The defense is crazy. I've talked about this before. I mean you have Zadarius Smith, you have Myles Garrett. The D tackles are good, and then Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson. Those three corners are the best combination of three corners in the league, I would say, anywhere. Owusu Koramoah is very good. You have Grant Delpit. He's very good. What?
Oh, that's not what you talk. I was just gonna say something.
Say something.
Okay, so yes, I mean they have a lot of depth, but a lot of these teams have depth though. I mean, I think the higher end though depth though is gonna be the Browns, but the Steelers too. The Steelers they got a lot of depth. Their defensive line,
they do
very good, very deep. They've got corners. They just couldn't put it together.
Who?
They got Joey Porter Jr. Well, secondary is what I meant.
Joey
Porter Jr. They got Minka, and they've got another good.
Minka was out last year, wasn't he? Most of the year.
For part of the year, because he got hurt.
Part of the year,
Who's their other? They've got another good guy in the secondary.
We named him one of our
Patrick Peterson, but that man is
no, he's old. We named him one of our captains, and I don't remember who it was. I can't remember his name.
You guys have another.
He's a younger guy.
It's a younger guy. Yes.
Really?
Gosh. Yes, they have a good young guy in their secondary. I don't know if he's a corner or a safety.
Yeah, they named
Is
him.
it Keanu Neal?
Maybe he was he the dude that got ejected last year?
Yeah, that was Keanu Neal.
Maybe.
Right?
They named him one of our go to. Actually, I think she'll be on the Steelers page.
Because Joey Porter Jr. is pretty freaking solid. And then
no service.
Who are the Steelers team captains? Wilson, Watt, Hayward, and Killebrew.
Yes.
Is it Miles Killebrew? Is that who it is? Or who are you?
That should be right, yeah.
Let me check. Is that because that was not the guy that got ejected? I thought Keanu Neal was the guy that got ejected.
yeah, I think he was.
Well, and I don't know the Steelers secondary all that well because none of them are. I don't feel that they're that.
He's 31 and he's a safety.
Okay, so he's at work.
So I don't know.
So maybe it was Keanu Neal.
Could be.
But I don't know. I think that, they can if they put it together. They've got pieces. But
yeah.
regardless, I think straight up. Last thing we mainly need to cover is we've already kind of talked about this, but what did all three of us? I think all three of us before we end it, all three of us should go through what we think the rankings are going to be in the AFC North.
Okay.
So you can start if you want. We can just go down the line.
I'm gonna say it's been set in my head like this for a while. I don't mean to make anybody mad. Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers.
Okay.
That's fair. I feel that the Steelers. It can go any way for any of these teams. I feel that the Ravens probably will end up being first or second this year. I don't
yeah.
see how they get last, but I could see either the Steelers, Browns, or Bengals getting last this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that the Ravens are such a dominant team, and they are pretty good about staying healthy. They usually don't have big injuries, I feel.
So who do you think the number 2 is probably going to take?
Realistically, I think it'll be the Bengals. And Browns or Steelers can be a toss-up, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
It honestly is going to come down to quarterback play.
Yeah,
Yes.
if the
What I was
Steelers
just going to
quarterbacks-
talk about.
If Deshaun Watson goes back to Houston mode,
Yes.
they could win the division.
Yeah,
if he plays the way he played pre-injury last year,
That could be okay.
But he just hasn't been the same.
He has not.
It's been too long, I think, and I just don't think he's back into that yet, and I don't know that he ever will be either.
So is your prediction, are you thinking leaning towards like Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns?
I'll put the Steelers at third, but that's if they can play, if their quarterbacks can play well.
okay.
I'm giving them third place over the Browns. It's going to be close, and it may even come down to divisional games, or even divisional games against Steelers Browns. Just I don't know. I'm gonna go Steelers at third. I think.
Yeah.
I think I kind of agree with a little bit of both. So I think the Bengals. I think if their O line can play well and Joe Burrow can stay healthy for the whole year, I think they're taking the Ravens. I think they're number 1 team. I think they're a better team than the Ravens offensively. Defensively, maybe the Ravens have an edge, but I think their offense is just so much stronger. The Ravens do not have a lot of threats other than Lamar Jackson and I guess Derrick Henry. Other than that, that's really it. Derrick Henry's aging.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but
No,
one
you're
thing
good.
that's really going to hurt that defense is losing Patrick Queen.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
That's
a big
true.
loss for the Ravens.
That's gonna be a loss. The Bengals, their defense, they've got a lot of different guys in there, so you never know. They could end up being a really good defense. They could be a top defense in the AFC North. But yeah, I think so. I think the Bengals are definitely, I think number 1, if Burrow stays healthy, the offensive line plays good, I think number 1 is the Bengals. Ravens, yes, I'm taking it 2. 3 is where I agree with Sam, is I think it's a complete toss-up. And quarterback, it's if the Steelers can find an established quarterback, like out of those 2, of who they want to lean on, and they can play good, their defense can play good, their offense, like Arthur Smith doesn't sell their offense, I think the Steelers take 3.
Okay.
But what I'm kind of leaning towards is Deshaun gets his crap together, starts playing better, and the Browns have more threats on offense, I feel like. And when Nick Chubb comes back, big threat. So I think the Browns take the 3rd spot, Steelers in 4th. But I don't think it's crazy at all for the Steelers to jump them.
Yeah.
Steelers could even jump the Ravens if their quarterback gets together, because their defense could be really strong.
It's just a question of
Quarterback
like
play,
who you can
in my
rely
opinion.
on.
Yeah.
Because you have the rosters head to toe are, I mean, on a very similar level. But you can lean on Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow to be consistently better and more consistent than you can lean on Russell Wilson or Justin Fields or Deshaun Watson. So I think that's really what it comes down to. So it's just gonna.
Yeah, but I think for sure it's gonna be. I think Ravens and Bengals at the top. 4th and 3rd being Steelers and Browns, but they could still make the playoffs.
I can see both Ravens and Browns also being, or not Ravens and Browns, Ravens and Bengals being a toss-up as well.
Yeah.
I can see the Bengals taking that spot from them very
If
easily.
Burrow gets hurt,
I'm leaning towards the Ravens more, I think.
It's fair, because if Burrow gets hurt, I'm 100% leaning toward the Ravens. If Burrow gets hurt, I'm thinking Bengals drop the 3rd.
I mean, it depends when he gets hurt.
Yeah, so it's all a fact. It's if Burrow can stay healthy, offensive line can play good, I'll take them at first. But it's just, I think, in the Steelers and Browns, I think it's literally just quarterback play because we know their defenses are going to be good.
Yeah, that's the biggest question with the Bengals. That's their biggest issue or flaw or concern there is how's Burrow going to hold up this season?
And contract holdouts.
Yeah, it's just, gosh. It's kind of just going to be luck, I think. If Burrow can hold it together this season and doesn't get hurt, I think they could take it.
Did you see what Chase said yesterday about the Jefferson thing?
Yeah,
he said, did you hear about that? So there was a report that he wanted 1 penny more than Justin Jefferson's contract, which Justin Jefferson's contract was the highest ever non-quarterback contract ever. And they asked him if that was true yesterday, and he said, if I'm going to beat Justin, I'm gonna beat the crap out of Justin, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's gonna be a lot.
I don't know, whatever. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the league. He's gonna get paid like
He is, yeah.
So
But
I'm not
it just-
too concerned about it. It's gonna happen. He's gonna be on the Bengals. Whenever it happens, it happens.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
I'd say
Not pertaining
You know,
not pertaining to the division, but what do you guys think Justin Jefferson's going to look like this year? Do you think he's going to be as productive as he had been?
I don't.
Because like for our fantasy team, I didn't pick him for a reason.
who hasn't? Nate hasn't.
I don't think he's going to produce the same as he did.
Yeah.
And it just really, because with the injury of J.J. McCarthy,
Yeah.
I really don't think he's going to do much.
Yeah. And I think you look at, receivers throughout forever struggle when they don't have their quarterback. Burrow or Jamar Chase, if you look at his numbers pre-injury and post-injury, he didn't have a ton of yards last year, and most of that was because of Jake Browning, and him and Jake Browning didn't fit as well. Browning tended to target Higgins more than Chase, to be honest with you. And it was just...
Targeted tight end a lot.
He did, also. I had another example. Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had a good rookie year. And then going into last year, I was very confident. I was like, he's going to have a great year with Aaron Rodgers. And then...
Guess what?
Garrett
Wilson
Yeah.
He played solid last year though. With I think the Jets' offense was the worst offense in the NFL by a landslide last year.
Really?
Yes. I watched their games. Their average. Okay, so I heard this stat. So the average Jets touchdown came from their own 40-yard line. So it was just some random breakaway play. Because they did not get to the red zone. Garrett Wilson was targeted. I think it was something like less than 5 times in the red zone.
That's crazy.
Because they couldn't get there. Breece Hall was hurt a lot of the year, and when he came back, he was having good games, but he was getting breakaway runs. They weren't giving it to him in the red zone and having him run right in. So with Aaron Rodgers this year, I think Garrett Wilson could.
And
I don't think it's crazy to say Garrett Wilson could be the best wide receiver in fantasy this year.
I don't know about that, but I think he could be
top 5. I'm standing on it. Garrett Wilson will be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy this year, and I do have him on my team. So
yeah, I know.
But I do just think.
But back to Jefferson, I just think you take Kirk Cousins out of the equation, and I assumed his production was going to go down with McCarthy, and then McCarthy gets hurt, and it's like, I really don't see. I still think, he's the best receiver in the NFL. Say his average year is a 1,700, 1,800 yard season.
Yeah.
I think this year we're going to be sitting 1,300.
Which is still respectable. That's still good stats, but for him,
that is
not.
I want to say a couple things. Just to wrap this up here.
Okay. Yeah,
to wrap it up, but a couple things about Jefferson. So, first of all, I disagree. He's the best receiver in the NFL. I think that's Tyreek Hill still. I think it will be until he proves he's not. Second of all, I think Justin Jefferson is going to be, when he wasn't hurt last year, when he played, very similar numbers. Because Kirk Cousins was hurt for a lot of the year. He was relying on Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, whoever else was on the team.
You don't trust the Paxton?
So it wasn't great quarterback play. Now you've got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's still very young quarterback. People don't realize that. Sam Darnold's not very old. He's like the same age as Joe Burrow. Look it up. Him and Joe Burrow are like the same age. He's like 27.
He was drafted 2 years before.
He's like 27.
Joe Burrow played old.
He's 27.
Sam
Joe
Darnold
Burrow
just
was
has,
drafted his senior year.
Yeah. Sam Darnold just hasn't. Sam Darnold really hasn't even given it the keys to go.
The Jets handed him the keys to the car in a full tank of gas.
But that was early.
And he ran it into a pole.
That was early in his
a
career.
mile away.
That was early in his career, though.
Yeah, and then he couldn't get the car started.
I know, but I'm thinking, here's the thing. Justin Jefferson is the only person he's going to be really targeting very often. Jordan Addison, if he comes back, he's been hurt. He may play this week. He's going to get some targets. TJ Hawkinson's not going to be a factor until week 7. So we don't have to worry about that. Sam Darnold's going to have to throw to somebody. Who's he going to throw to? Probably the best receiver on the team, the guy that can get open. So it's like, I feel like they're going to be scheming. Justin Jefferson gets the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's still going to produce.
No, I agree. I'm still giving him 1,300, 1,400 yards. I'm just saying he's not going to put up like what you would expect.
He's
Like-
not going to put up what he put up with Kirk Cousins.
Exactly.
But he's
That's
going to
what-
put
that's
up
what I'm
what he
saying.
put up last year,
Okay.
saying
And
he wasn't injured.
And I think when he gets JJ McCarthy, I think his numbers will go up a lot. I don't think they'll ever be back to where they were when he had Kirk Cousins.
No.
Because Kirk Cousins was honestly a
So
pretty
accurate.
good quarterback. He was, he was
Yeah.
accurate.
And
yeah.
they worked well together. So
Yeah, so.
I think
But-
it's the same thing. For some reason, I've never understood this. What is up with Matthew Stafford and his ability to just make receivers
He's so underrated
go
and people don't realize it.
insane?
Yeah, Cooper
Matthew
Kupp.
Stafford,
He has-
because he's one of the
he
most
has the-
accurate quarterbacks
He
in
has
the
the
NFL.
2 all-time yards in a season leaders. He has the all-time rookie yards and rookie receptions leader.
Yes.
Like he was Megatron's quarterback when
You
he
know
had
why?
that season. He was Kupp's quarterback when he. I
You
mean,
know
they
why?
won the Super Bowl that year, and he won the Triple Crown. And then Puka goes crazy last year.
You know why that is?
Why?
Because Matthew Stafford is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. I'll stand on that. He puts the ball where it needs to be.
Okay.
And he knows who to get the ball to.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, when you look at his receivers, it's normally one guy, and it's by a substantial margin. It's not like the Bengals where, Chase has a big year, but then Higgins still's got that. Boyd, Higgins. And it's like Matthew Stafford, he knows who to target.
Yeah.
He gets the ball to them. So that's why I'm really interested to see this year what happens with Puka and Cooper Kupp both being healthy.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who he leans towards, who gets the ball more, and if one of them kind of has a little bit of a dip and they play a lot worse than what people expect them to be. So, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, barring Bengals and Steelers stuff, I think we covered some good things, and we're both looking forward to tomorrow. Ready to see everybody kick it off. Anybody got anything else to say about it? All right.
That's everything.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Probably a little bit of a longer one, but we had a special guest. We were trying to get some information out, talk about some different things. But yeah, let's get ready for tomorrow. Who day? Hopefully Steelers lose. See you guys.
See ya.